Maybe.
It's joining. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Dallas, how you doing?
Hey, good. How about you?
Good.
Hey,
Sorry
girl.
about all that. You must have been in my men's group or another victims group. So sorry.
It's all good.
All right. So, what's been going on with you?
So my story goes back all the way back to 2010.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it originated from. Do I have the platform to be as candid and blunt, honest as possible?
If you want to.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel that transparency is what's needed in these groups, like total 100% honesty. So in 2010, when I came back from Afghanistan, I was not in a good mind space. I basically didn't care about anybody except for my own feelings. So in 2010, I was pretty much a douchebag. I dated a few women. I let them buy me things, rack up their credit card bills, and then basically said, well, I'm breaking up with you because I don't like you, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Now that was in 2010 and 2011. I've never done anything douchey or jerk-offish like that since then.
Mm-hmm.
And I also paid a price for that. I was taken to court for it. I had to pay the restitution in full, which I did. And life moved on.
Right.
Now, since 2018, for some odd reason, since 2018, 19, again in 2022, and then again in 2024, those three individuals from 2010, I guess they're single again or whatnot, they've been posting online as anonymous people, stating unfactual things that I put guns in their laps, I sexually assaulted them, what was some of the other things? I robbed them at gunpoint. Just absolutely absurd, crazy, ridiculous things that's completely unfactual, unfounded by the courts, never even criminally charged or even questioned for any of those things by any type of law enforcement.
Those are serious too.
Really serious.
Yeah.
I hope David's watching now.
So what takes place is my sister, my female attorney friends, they would go on those sites and add themselves on them sites, and they would set the record straight. And they would try to expose them individuals for being liars, deceitful, embellishers, exaggerators. And what would happen is those administrators from those groups that were facilitating those groups and still are currently, they would ban them. They would ban the truth tellers and the exposers off the group.
Yeah.
And never let them go. And my whole issue with these groups is the anonymous clause. It's like this. It's like I, to a certain degree, understand posting something anonymously if you are genuinely in fear of your life, or if you're in imminent bodily injury or fear of your property or somebody or a loved one being harmed. I totally get that. However, I believe that the law enforcement authorities or the domestic abuse relations courts, those should be the proper avenue, not posting on Facebook Live or Facebook dating the right guy or dating the wrong guy website as an anonymous person where they're being given the platform to slander, defame, and tell exaggerated or just plain outright untrue facts about an individual, where that individual doesn't have the opportunity to come on there and defend themselves appropriately because they're not going to be accepted in that group. I'm going to give you an example. There was a gentleman, his name was Brad. He was on the group in 2022 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He was dating a girl, and another guy was imitating the girl, acting as if it was a female, posting that he did all these things. He romance scammed her, beat her up, threw her down the steps, kicked her in the belly, ruined her pregnancy, horrible, terrible things. Well, it turned out to be, and then, you know, the Facebook platform went bananas, 150 to 160 people. This person's a terrible human person. Stop it. This person's a terrible human person, you know. And this gentleman who was completely innocent, didn't even know he was being posted, wound up committing suicide over the matter because he himself had mental health and PTSD issues from being in Afghanistan and being in Fallujah. And then it turned out to be that the individual wasn't even a female at all. It was another guy who was an ex-boyfriend who was posting and acting like a female, and then had 150 other people signing on saying, yeah, this person's a piece of crap, this, that, totally cyberbullying this guy into suicide. That happened in 2022 in Pittsburgh. It was on the news.
Yeah, we have that up for sure.
Yeah, remember that.
Okay.
I can give you his first and last name off live, obviously.
Yeah. Privately.
Also, just today, here's a prime example today. There was a young female. She was posting online today on one of the Are We Dating the Same Guy websites in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And she was basically, she put this guy's picture out there. She put his phone number out there. And 60 other trolls jumped on it as if they were there and they witnessed this, as if what they were talking into fact, the events that she was saying was actually factual. So I actually spoke up, not in defense of the individual that was being accused of the claims, but I spoke up as the Facebook community in whole. Mm-hmm. I said, listen, people need to be held accountable because what you're doing is you're slandering individuals and you're defaming individuals without facts and without any other characteristics to back up those facts. These platforms are giving individuals the platform to post anonymously without the consequence of actually having your identity exposed. Mm-hmm. If you're exposing somebody else's identity because they allegedly did you wrong, then you should have no problem standing behind what you're claiming because that person in fact did something wrong to you that should be held punishable in court or by the law.
Right.
So why are we hiding behind who we are to excruciate and slander and defame another individual anonymously? Mm-hmm. That's ridiculous. Like whenever you file a domestic abuse claim, you're not allowed to file it anonymously. Right. Whenever you file a complaint with the police about your neighbors, you're not allowed to file it anonymously. When you call 911, that's not anonymous. They know exactly who you are.
Exactly.
So why are we allowing people to file anonymously without fact checking? Because what it's doing is it's another form of cyberbullying. You're facilitating perpetrators to insidiously post things about people, whether they're true or not.
Right.
In my particular case, I've had the opportunity to file a federal civil suit in Western District of Pennsylvania. I actually know the 3 perpetrators who was posting about me and exaggerating about me. I'll give you an example. An individual, I won't say her name because I was advised I'm not allowed to. Not until we go to court. Right. She stated that I stole a rental car from her. However, she went to civil court and she told the judge, I rented this car for him because we was on a date and his truck caught on fire, his dashboard truck caught on fire, and he got it the hell out of the truck and he couldn't grab any of his belongings because his truck was engulfed in smoke. So I felt bad for him. I took him to a rental car place. I'm not allowed to say the name of the rental car place. And I gave him the rental car. Well, she did. She gave me the rental car. I says, cool. As soon as I get my stuff back, I'll make sure I square up with you. 3 days later, my insurance company contacted me and said, hey, we're totaling your car out. We have a check for you. Come pick up your car. Okay, great. So I take the rental car back and I leave the keys in a rental car as I was advised to. Somebody else takes the rental car off the lot and goes on a trip to West Virginia on a meth binge or something. Wow. And leaves it down in the river for a month. The police GPS this car. This car is located 200 miles away from where I reside.
Yeah.
I have my own personal vehicle. And I'm telling this individual, I dropped the vehicle off. I showed her the pictures and the live feed where I'm dropping the vehicle off. I was like, listen, I'll show you the live cam. I'll show you a live feed of where I'm dropping the vehicle off at their location. Somebody whether it was an employee or just a homeless person or whoever, a street person, whomever, took that car. They watched me drop that car off and took it. That's unbeknownst to me, and it's unbeknownst to her. But what she did to get out of the fees is that she perpetrated like I stole a rental car. So then the judge asked her plain outright. He says, well, ma'am, did you rent him the car or not? She said, yes, I did. He said, well, how could he rent a car that you rented? How could he steal a car that you rented from him? She's like, because he didn't return it on time. He's like, but you rented him the car. That means he didn't steal the car. And you told my court that he stole your rental car, which he did not. So that obviously got dropped, but it got posted on, are we dating the same guy? Beware of this guy. He's a piece of crap. He's dangerous. He's a woman abuse. All this other stuff from a rental car incident that I was totally not even guilty of.
Right.
Wow.
At the end of the day, I agreed to pay the rental car fee. That's what the craziest part about it. It wound up costing me $2,100 out of pocket, where it should have only cost me, I think, $182 out of pocket for the 3 days I had the car. So I'm the one who got burned on the car, not her, not the courts, not the gentleman or whoever, the woman, whoever took that car. I'm the one who got burned on the car. And then I'm also getting burned online about it. So I said enough is enough. I hired an attorney. And what I would like the live Facebook Nation to know is you can actually file a federal civil suit against these groups and the facilitators of these groups because they are knowingly allowing perpetrators to post slanderous and defamatory remarks about an individual that could actually cause harm to that individual, security to that individual, and also cause that individual to lose his livelihood and his income. What it's called is a John Doe civil suit about the Facebook administrators because they don't like to identify themselves. So what's going to happen, Facebook Nation, is the administrators, once you file the civil suit, it costs you $300 to do so. Once you file it, they do get to download that information, and they will know who those facilitators of those groups are. And then them U.S. Marshals will be serving those facilitators. It takes anywhere up to 15 to 30 days to do so. So it can be done. It starts off as a John Doe claim, but it turns out to be a legit name-based claim. It's called after they download the information and they find out who the administrators of those groups are, then they will be held accountable, because that's a form of cyberbullying, which is actually a crime in 48 states of the United States.
And that's good advice too, because I think a lot of people like even know to take that route. So that's some really good advice. So thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely. And it does not matter what state you live in. You can go to any federal courthouse in your region and you can file a John Doe claim as long as you have the postings. All you have to do is take a screenshot of the postings that's being made against you. Some of these individuals are not clever enough, and they're actually leaving their real names on there, which is to your benefit, obviously. A lot of individuals are so naive and so ignorant not to realize that they can actually be held accountable now, because this is actually a legit crime. Right. And if it doesn't turn into a crime, if a U.S. magistrate doesn't want it to become a crime, a U.S. magistrate will definitely still allow it to be a civil suit, and they will be held liable for libelous, defamation, and it's also a claim against your own personal security and your own personal investment of yourself. Wow. Because it's causing harm to people.
Right.
When you're causing harm to another individual, whether what you're saying is true or not true, it's obviously more harmful if it's not true. You still have to go through proper procedures to do that. You cannot just use any platform and state slanderous things about people that wind up costing them their job and their livelihood. You just can't do. Or we'll just say hypothetically, say one of these individuals on the group has a not so nice boyfriend or a not so nice girlfriend.
Right.
And now they know your identity, and they feel that, oh, this person kicked this girl down the steps or kicked this girl in her belly and ruined her pregnancy. Now they want to harm you, and they harm you out of spite of that. Meanwhile, the whole incident was made up and unfactual. So now that individual also is now paying a price for harming you based on an individual's complete fictitious lie.
Right. Question. So you've filed this federal suit. What where are you at in the process as far as that? Like how far along in the
I
process?
am at the United States magistrate level. What that means is I'm at level 1. I just filed it 2 weeks ago because I was able to have somebody log on and not get banned from the site and download all the information that was being perpetrated against myself. I also done it for 2 other individuals because there's 2 other individuals that's also been posted on there negatively and actually unfactually. So far we have 3 names that we are actually plaintiffs, where the group's sites and the group administrators are the defendants. And eventually, they said it takes anywhere between 15 to 30 days. Within 15 to 30 days, these individuals who's posting negative things that are untrue and unfactual, they will be added as defendants, as will the facilitators of those groups. They will most definitely be added as defendants number 1. The perpetrators who's actually posting the unfactual information, they're going to be listed as defendants number 2. And what the United States government is going to do is they're going to actually go to the perpetrators and they're going to say, hey, listen, we're going to let you guys off the hook with a slap on the wrist and some probation if you agree to testify against the facilitators, because the facilitators are the ones that's allowing you guys and giving you guys this platform to illegally post these things that are untrue and unfounded.
Wow. So not only the person who posted, but the administrators and the moderators.
Yes, because the administrators and the moderators from an agent that I spoke with, he's from the Federal Forensic Auditing Department, their online cyberbullying team. He specifically told me that the administrators and the facilitators of this group, their prime responsibility is to, number 1, protect the identity and protect the well-being of the individuals that's making a claim, but also to also protect the identity and the well-being of the individual that's having the claim made against them.
Right.
And they're also supposed to fact check and make sure that what's being posted is actually factual and not slanderous and defamatory against the individual one way or the other.
Right.
That's the responsibility of the administrator and the moderator.
Right. Just to let you know, Paula is frozen at the moment. She's trying to hop back on.
Okay.
So some technical difficulties. So as far as the groups go, what would you like to see happen to them as a whole?
Well, I do know that Meta and I believe Snapchat is currently cooperating with the Federal Bureau of Investigation with their cyberbullying team. And they are proactively working to shut down a lot of the sites once they do their full investigation. Of course, there's the Freedom of Speech Act,
Yeah.
and the Freedom of Press Act and the Freedom of Media Act. However, whenever that freedom of speech and that freedom of media is being violated with unfactual, baseless claims that causes studious harm to an individual's well-being, that's whenever they're allowed to shut it down. That's whenever the civil rights of the Freedom of Speech Act is actually stepped aside. That's whenever the press and the media rights are actually put aside whenever it's causing harm or could cause harm to the individual's well-being.
So do you think, and this, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's true. Do you think that there has to be several more cases of people harming themselves, taking their own lives, for then there to be sufficient attention paid to this?
Well, according to the agent that I had spoke with out of the Pittsburgh field office, nationally in a year's time, they estimate around 13,800 individuals take their life from this direct line of cyberbullying on these particular groups.
Say that number one more time, please.
13,800 nationwide. That's their estimate.
Wow.
In 1 year's time. So that's averaging 1,000 people a month per 50 states. So that's, do the math, that's 50 people per state a month, if you want to trickle it down. Now, obviously, there's small states that don't have any of these, like Rhode Island and Hawaii, as of now, doesn't have any listings of suicides or self-harm based on these cyberbullying groups. However, California, New York, Texas, Pennsylvania, and Florida, obviously with bigger populations, has a mass amount.
Right. Wow. Like when you break it down, you know, to the numbers like that, you would, I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
What I like to do is I like to get all the facts, and I like to produce the facts instead of just telling bits and pieces or hearsay. I notice what a lot of people do is they'll listen to what somebody says and they'll immediately jump on it and bandwagon on it as if it's their Bible or if it's their holy word, or is it they witnessed it themselves.
Yeah.
I strongly advise every individual, if somebody says something about somebody, look into it yourself. Invest your own time instead of putting that little tidbit out there. Yeah, he's this, he's that, whenever you really don't know, because you're going to be held accountable. The federal government is not playing around with this. We have a new administration in right now. Them individuals on that administration are totally canceling DEI entirely. So they are not playing any games with this. They're going to be extremely strict with it. And I believe it's to the betterment of the Meta, Snapchat, TikTok, all those communities. I believe it's to the betterment of it.
Right.
Like, I believe people should post what they want to post, but I believe that they should post it honestly, factually, and without the intention, malicious intent of harming somebody's character, livelihood, or well-being.
Yes. And I think, you know, because obviously this is not my actual profile, right? This is just something that I use to protect myself. But a lot of the arguments that I see are, you know, you shutting down or you attempting or trying to get these groups shutting down. It's like the whole freedom of speech thing comes into play. And then that's used as something to defend the groups. Well, if you take the groups away, you're taking away a place where women can feel safe. And again, I understand.
Yes.
The original
Oh,
intent.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize. I thought you paused. I apologize.
Oh, no.
Go ahead.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
So what I was told by the entire field, because they actually want me to be an advocate at one of the local colleges, to go in and do advocacy to the colleges to educate their law department, the new coming lawyers and things of that nature. And I've agreed to do that. What they have informed me is the Freedom of Speech Act and taking away somebody's freedom of speech, it's not freedom of speech if you're violating the speech. If you are violating the speech in a mischievous, insidious, and a negative agenda, intentionally and maliciously to harm somebody's well-being or livelihood, then there is no freedom of speech that you actually are entitled to.
Right.
That is allowed to be revoked. It's not a freedom of speech when you're acting in that manner. Now, it's a freedom of speech if you just want to post and say, hey, I had a negative interaction with this individual. Here's what happened. If you want to verify what I'm saying, go on this magistrate's docket sheet and look at it, or go into this and look at it. Here's the proof of it.
Right.
That's different. You're allowed to do that. But whenever you're just blatantly making blanket statements and continuous on, and other people are piling on and bandwagoning on, that is not freedom of speech.
Right.
Because you're harming somebody's livelihood and you're putting another human being's life at risk. Whether you intend to or not, most of these people are just trying to get attention. Well, the attention that they're getting is actually putting the negative attention on the individual. And now that individual who everybody was claiming to be a scammer or a no good person, that person is now becoming the victim. So these people don't even realize that some of these people that are being posted are bad people or bad actors. But now you're making those people victims instead of the bad actors that they are by posting more negative things that are untrue about that person. So
Right.
it's counterproductive. Now, about the anonymous thing about the women protection, the agents flatly told me this is where they stand on it and this is where it's going to be rolled at. Anonymous is going to be taken away. And the reason why anonymous is going to be taken away is because if a woman is being abused, she's supposed to use the proper avenues of contacting her local authority and going and filing a temporary protection from abuse order.
Right.
Whenever you're doing that, you're not allowed to remain anonymous. Factually, it goes on the court dockets and court documents.
Right.
It's the freedom of right to know. Anybody can look the information up. So here's what's so unique with the agent told me that is so elucidating. We're just going to say example that you and I had a bad relationship. Here's the prime example. We had a bad relationship, so you posted something about me saying I'm a no good for this and that, and I did this and did that to you. And you made details. The next person I date is going to see that, and they're going to bring it to my attention. Or somebody that I know is going to say, hey, I seen your picture on this. Are we dating the same guy in St. Louis or New York or wherever it is? What's up with this? I am going to know that you posted that.
Right.
So how are you any more safe by saying that you're anonymous and posting things whenever it's me that knows that you did it? And if you're so afraid of me and so afraid of me that they use the anonymous platform to do so, then why are you instigating? Why are you so poking the bear? Then, if you're so afraid of this person, why are you poking the bear with this person for this person to obviously find out that what you're doing and what you're posting about them? Isn't that putting you actually in more fear and more harm than you actually was to begin with?
Right.
That's the example the agent made. It makes total common sense to me.
No, it does make sense for sure.
It's like the PFA. It's just like the PFA, like the sheriffs say about the PFA. The sheriffs say that they absolutely cannot stand the PFA, and here's the reason why. A woman takes all the effort to go down, or a man takes all the effort to go down and file a temporary PFA. Then they go down to court, a judge orders, okay, we're going to give you 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years to stay away 500 to 1,000 feet away from this person and have no contact with this person. Here's your piece of paper for that. If you do so, you're going to go to jail for 90 days.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. That person obviously already didn't care because they had that PFA filed against them anyway. So is that one piece of paper really giving you a sense of security against this person that you're so afraid of?
Yeah.
I believe it's a false narrative and a false sense of security. And I also believe the anonymous clause is also a false sense of security and a false narrative. And I also believe that is completely being manipulated and taken advantage for insidious reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I don't know if members know this, but because I'm a moderator and an admin of a group that I've created, when you go to post and it gives you that option, say, I want to post anonymously, we as admins and we as moderators can see your first, your last name and what you are trying to post.
Right.
So, you know, see, me personally, I was a member of my local group, and I discussed this on the previous podcast with Paula,
Sure.
where I had gone to report a post several times because it was doxing. It gave everybody in that group, hey, this person works here.
Right.
Got back to the company, they started calling, blah, 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 right?
Right.
Because I reportedly I repeatedly reported that post. Now, my mistake was probably reporting it to the admins. Once, I guess, they saw how many times I reported something, I was then banned from that group. So all the women who are trying to either protect their male friends or whoever, and then are getting banned, I think these groups thrive off of drama. So even with posts that are showing actual abuse, and the women provide proof of that, those posts are getting declined. They don't want,
Right.
you know, that sort of stuff up there. So it's getting into really dangerous territory here, and it's something that's sort of up and coming, and it's sad that we've come this far. And you know, I mean, how old were the women that posted you? Grown, right?
Yeah, it's bizarre. It was the grown woman in their 30s. And I spoke with the lawyer, and the lawyer actually reached out to one of the individuals. And one of the individuals says, yeah, he was such an asshole 12 years ago. So who changes in 12 years? They say, well, you've changed in 1 year. Look how much you've changed your life in 1 year. You tell me that person can't change in 12 years?
Person can definitely change.
We're talking over a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like people they still fester in the drama from over a decade ago, and they reproduce it as if it's something brand new today and current.
Right.
And then the trolls, which I like to call them trolls, those are the individuals that act like they know what they're talking about, or act like they know some type of particular event, or act like they was actually there or witnessed it. They jump on the bandwagon, then that bandwagon gets longer and longer and longer. And next thing you know, one person now turned into 20 people and you don't know 19 of them. You never met 19 of them. You know the one person that you clearly had an issue with and that she could or he could definitely have a gripe with you about. And you're supposed to say, hey, man, I'm sorry, I did you wrong. How would you like to make it right so we can stop this nonsense from it getting out of control? Nobody wants to do that. And I don't understand that.
Yeah, and a lot of men who come and have shared their stories on this podcast have said, you know, a bunch of the women that posted about me, I don't even know them.
Right.
So it's scary, and I think that it needs to be brought to the attention that there are real consequences for what is posted online, whether you think there are or not.
Yeah, with the federal, they're called forensic auditors for the cyberbullying task force. They know when a person is lying, because when a person puts on some particular facts, they're forensic audit. They're forensic. They're federal forensic. They didn't get that job because they got appointed that job. They got that job because they're pretty brilliant at what they do. Right. So it's so funny to me that people think that they can outsmart the authorities. The authorities are authorities for a reason. They got those jobs for a reason.
Right.
And whenever you're saying that, oh yeah, this person has a twin brother and they're identical, and the authorities say, wait a minute, this guy doesn't even have a brother, he has a sister, what are they talking about? You just made your entire argument discredited, and you lack merit altogether. And that's what I try to instill in these sites. I'm an advocate for it. The anonymous, if you're going to post anonymous, then post it legitimately and factually. Don't sit there and slander and defame a person without facts, or just creating your own facts, or hypothesizing about facts that you may have seen on a TV show or on a podcast or on some internet movie or something. It's just completely bizarre how people believe what they read on Facebook. It's insanity to me. Yeah. And then they have the nerve to say, you're the dummy. Wait a minute, you're listening to somebody, you're listening to 20 people that you've never even met before. You're co-signing 20 individuals who are complete strangers to you, who you've never even met before. And you're co-signing for them, but yet you're calling this other individual a dummy for sticking up for himself. That's total insanity.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with that.
And I want every man and woman, because there's women that have this problem too, not just men.
Right.
I want every man and woman, think about it. Think how much money you spend in a month on nonsense. Think about all the fast food that we buy in a month, or all the other nonsense that we buy that is not an essential need. You could take that $300 and you could turn that $300 into $300,000 against Meta, because Meta is going to be the primary. They're eventually going to be the primary defendant after the moderators and after the administrators. Meta's obviously going to go on there as well. And you know, Meta's got the best attorneys. They're going to cover their butts, And they're going to definitely point the finger at the moderators and the administrators. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, you guys hear that? $300 into $300,000.
The forensic auditor said that, listen, they're going to give you a settlement. These groups all combined, Meta will give you a settlement probably in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. So I'm telling people, hey, listen, thank you for slandering me incorrectly. It's been a pain in my ass, a pain in my butt to do it, and it's giving me more gray hairs than I like. However, now I'm going to have a couple dollars that I can invest to go after the advocacy groups. I just have to do it, and I'm going to be a total advocate for any individual who wants to contact me, and I will walk you along, and I will be right there side by side as your witness or as your co-plaintiff.
You know, and that's really great that you've taken this experience that, you know, probably most obviously did some damage to your life, and you have turned it into something better in helping other people. So good for you doing that.
I've lost probably 4 really good relationships that I thought had a lot of promise over these postings. And the individual didn't know me 12 years ago. This individual maybe only knew me for a few months. And now I lost the relationship based on somebody saying, hey, watch out for him. He's dangerous. You don't want to have nothing to do with him. Based on something from 12 years ago that was not violent, that was not harmful, that was just pure jerk-offish stuff. Nothing real life-altering or damaging. The only person I harmed or damaged was my own person. And I paid the price for that, and I paid the dues. That's why I don't have to be a coward about it, and I can come and be a man about it and own up to my own faults. But at the same time, I can also say, okay, enough is enough. After 10 years, that's enough. After 10 years, I've had enough, and you don't have the opportunity and the right no more to no longer perpetrate that same old story from 12, 13 years ago. It doesn't even matter if it's a year ago. But like, there's individuals on here that are really suffering. I'm no longer suffering because I'm mentally strong. And I've also almost lost my job. I was called into the office. They say, hey, listen, this is information that's unbecoming of our company's principles and values. And if you didn't have such a duration with our company that you've had, and if we didn't know your true character, what you really stand for, and your military background, we would actually be forced to go on arbitrary and let you go. So I almost lost my job over this matter. If it wasn't for my duration with the company, I would have.
Right.
But there's individuals out there that aren't as fortunate as I was. There's individuals that's only been in a job for maybe a year or two, and their company really doesn't know them, so they have no problem with letting them go. And it could be over a totally fictitious, unfactual, slanderous, defamatory woman or man that's pissed off that you're dating somebody else that looks cuter than you do, or that makes more money than you do, or you just can't get over it.
Wow. I'm trying to figure out, because Paula obviously still hasn't been able to get back on, and I'm not sure if she's going to be able to.
That's fine.
I guess, I don't know, end the live. But just a quick question before we do wrap up. Is there, any points that you want to leave us with?
I'm a little confused. What do you mean by points?
Like, just, is there anything that you want to, like, last couple of things to say to those who are watching? Because this will be posted on, if you're okay with it, posted on YouTube, all the social media platforms, but just something to leave us with.
Sure. This is for both men and women. If you're a victim of these groups, empower yourself. Go to your local federal courthouse, pony up the $300 that it costs, and file a complaint against the moderators and the administrators of that particular group. It's your right to do that. Individuals do not have a right, nor do they have a freedom of speech right to put your life and your livelihood in harm or to compromise it in an insidious manner. These postings are intentional and deliberate with bad intentions. They're not done on a good agenda, because if these things were done on a good agenda, they would be contacting you personally about it. Or they would have their lawyer or their law enforcement contact you personally about it. They wouldn't use a platform like this. Also, please, please, please advocate against the anonymous. I am 100% for men's and women's safety, but it's no different to post anonymous whenever you're posting about an individual, because that individual is going to find out about it. So that individual is going to know who you are anyway. So the anonymous clause about I'm afraid and I'm just protecting my identity, you're not protecting your identity, because your identity is already exposed by the person you're posting against.
Right.
He or she is going to expose your identity, and it's going to do nothing but trigger and cause a snowball effect that's not going to be good for either of you.
Right.
I strongly, strongly advise people to stick up for themselves, have your facts, have your knowledge, and go and speak with your local federal authority. That's what they're there for. They get paid a lot of money, and a lot of them don't do anything. Go make them earn that money. They are dying for somebody to come in there and give them a job to do, because that's what they do. They are hounds. They love sniffing this stuff out. I talked to 5 different federal agents. They were so eager to bust these doors down because they're so bored with nothing to do. They want to go after these people. They want to stop the cyberbullying. They want to protect individuals. Whether you made a mistake or you didn't make a mistake, their obligation is to also protect you and your livelihood.
Right.
And these individuals that are posting these negative things about you are affecting that, and they're actually violating your civil rights. The freedom of speech is freedom of consequences. Does not mean that it's freedom of consequences. Freedom of speech has its consequences. And one of those consequences are, if you're intentionally and deliberately harming somebody's image, character, or livelihood or well-being, it's no longer freedom of speech. It's cyberbullying. And that's what I'll leave you guys with.
Wow.
Anybody that wants to contact me, please contact me. My name is Dallas Sluchek. It's spelled Slyczuk. I will honestly help anybody do this and advocate for this, and I will gladly add you to my own personal civil suit as a plaintiff along with me. I'm not greedy. I'm not selfish. I want to stop these people.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing your story and coming on here. I know it takes some courage to do so, and hopefully your story will inspire others to come forward and share their story as well.
The more voices, the better. It's just like any other movement. The more voices, the more complaints, the more civil suits, the better. That's whenever Congress and your local state Congress and your local state reps, they'll be forced to act. They'll be forced to shut these groups down. 1 to 100 claims nationwide is not going to do it. We need everybody on board.
You're right. And Dallas, would you mind? So I don't know if you've checked out our website yet. It's ban AWD.
Let me write it down.
I'll give you a second.
Yeah, I'll write that down. www.ban.
Ban, BAN, and then it's AWDTSG.com.
Little fast for me, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
AWD.
T as in Tom.
Yep.
S as in Sally.
Okay.
And G as in Georgia.com.
Okay.
I think it would be helpful, like just the steps that you took, if you wouldn't mind, because I know that we've corresponded through email a bit. If you wouldn't mind writing those steps out about how to go about this, I would love to put this on the website, because I think it's a super helpful tool.
Absolutely. I'll get on that this evening. Absolutely. Anybody I can help to help make their life a little bit more comfortable and to stop these individuals from this insidious insanity, I'm all for it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And again, just I don't know how to really wrap this up because I've never done this, but
It's okay.
if you like to follow Paula's YouTube channel. I believe it is Victims of AWD. Oh,
Victims
yep.
of AWD.
Same guy. Paula! You're on mute. You're on mute. Unmute yourself. Time for some sign language lessons. Let's do this. But yes, if there's any other questions that you have, please feel free to reach out to either myself or Paula. And again, we just really want to thank you for coming on here and sharing your story.
Absolutely. Anytime you guys need my input or need me to help or advocate, contact me. You guys have my contact information. I'm available.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. And I hope that you have a great weekend, okay?
You as well. You too, Paula. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.